The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, it's Greg Williams. We'll get started at 7 o'clock. How's everybody doing? Glad to hear you're doing good, Bradley.
I do a lot of developing trainings and delivering trainings, and I think my next step will probably be in the management, so I thought this was going to be a perfect fit for me.
Okay, great. Well, glad to have you, Sean. I'm still
Thank
kind
you.
of wondering who you got that message from.
So am I. It was a random voice that popped up, and it said, "Sean, you're in the wrong session." I don't know.
Oh, wow, maybe.
I joined the Blackboard Collaborate session. Should I close out of that?
Yeah, we're not using that.
Okay, so maybe it came from there.
Okay, but I'm wondering who's giving that message.
Okay, I
Unless we
closed out.
unless we have a haunted webinar platform here. I don't know what's going on. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go next? Connor, Heather, Pat, Brad?
Yeah, I can go next.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Connor Pequini. I'm currently a multimedia developer at GP Strategies, located in Columbia. And why am I taking this class? It's to earn my master's in ISD. So this is my fourth class that I'm taking. I've
Okay.
been in the ISD program for about a year now, almost a year now. Be a year in August, but really looking forward to this class. I've enjoyed the 3 other classes I've taken, and I think it's really going to contribute to my work that I'm currently doing at GP Strategies and my career moving forward. So,
All right.
I'm excited.
Very good. Thanks for being with us. All right. Who wants to go next?
I can share next.
All right.
Hi, my name's Brad. I'm currently a 4th grade elementary school teacher at Meadow Hall here in Rockville. And I am taking this class because, well, for 2 reasons. One, I'm looking to get my master's, obviously, to accelerate my career. I'm in a leadership position in my school currently, and I'm looking to eventually transfer that into the private sector.
Okay. All right, we do have a fair amount of people in our program that started out as a K through 12 teacher. So there are others like you. Maybe not dozens and hundreds, but there are others like you.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I'm guessing you probably know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I started out in K through 12 myself, way back when, and I think like some people, I decided I like teaching and learning and so forth, but I'm not crazy about teaching middle school kids or whatever
Mm.
grade I was teaching. I think it was middle school. Yeah, they were challenging. They were kind of fun, but they pushed through the paces. All right, thanks so much, Brad. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right.
I think that's just a really good segue because I was once a K-12 teacher, so I just recently made the transition into ISD, professionally, I guess I should say. So I'm currently working at Morgan State University, and I'm working in the instructional technology, academic technology, excuse me. I think that's the official term is academic technology.
Okay.
Department. And the reason I took the class is because it looks like our roles are sort of, I guess, evolving, where before we were honestly just mostly Blackboard managers and just sort of working the LMS. But now we're really stepping away from that and we're trying to get more into actual instructional design and that's dealing with managing performance, and it just seemed like it was a good fit for where our institution seems to be going with our roles. So
Okay. How's it going so far?
it's not bad. It's really interesting because we're transitioning from our current LMS to Canvas.
Okay.
So there's a lot of change management going on. And a lot of project management going on. So it's just really interesting because I just finished the project management class. So it's like, oh, here we are. So we're all comparing notes. It's just really interesting. So to see it sort of, to talk about it in class and to actually go into work and see it in real life, it's like, oh, there it is. So yeah.
Yeah, it can be quite a transition because sometimes people go into this field because they think, oh, it's all about technology, and it's possible it can be about, you might have a job that's all technology, but usually what I see is more organizations want people to do more and more things. So the one trick pony of somebody just knowing one thing and that's all they do is, I don't think most organizations can afford to have people like that. So they're asking people to do more than maybe what they originally signed up for, so to speak. All right, let's see. Pat, I don't think we've heard from you. Let me unmute you. There you go.
Hi, my name is Pat Tolliver. I work at the registrar's office at UMBC. I'm a transfer evaluator.
Okay.
I've been there 10 years, and this is like my plan B. So when I retire, I have something else to do because I don't like to stay home and do nothing. During the summer, the whole summer, we do presentations for orientation, and that's a big part of what I'm doing now. I do evaluations. I do all the back end. I talk to the faculty, the staff, and answer all student questions.
Okay.
Plus, it was interesting that you say that they say that you have other duties. In my job description, it says other duties as assigned, and that means whatever they ask you to do, you got to do it.
I run into that before, believe it or not.
It's nice to meet you and talk to you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I always joke with, other duties as assigned. I'll say, well, why don't we just make that number one and then leave the rest blank?
Yeah.
You could come up with a lot of interesting duties. But yeah, organizations want people, they can't afford when a new problem comes up. They can't afford to hire a new person just because there's a new challenge or a new issue. So yeah, people are definitely being asked to do more. Okay. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did, but I make mistakes, so I'll be the first one to admit that. Okay. Well, thank you. So, how does this class work? Well, when I first started teaching this class, probably, I don't know, 14 years ago, I was designing the class and I said to myself, well, there's so much for people to learn. How am I going to do that? And I'm not a subject matter expert on everything. So what I realized was I knew a lot of people in the field, and I knew people that had done things that I had not done. And what I decided was, well, let me tap their experience and basically ask them to join the class as a guest speaker on a particular topic. And then that way, the students can have access to experts in a particular aspect of ISD and training and performance improvement. And that goes far beyond what I know personally, because nobody knows everything. Hopefully I know some things, but I don't know everything. So that's kind of how the class is structured. We have subject matter experts coming in every week for our live class. All our classes will be recorded too. So if somebody has a work obligation or they're traveling because of work or something like that and they can't attend the class, they can watch the recording. So every week we'll have a person, guest speaker come in, and in the syllabus, I think you should be able to see the schedule in there about who's coming in and the topics. It's also in Blackboard. So we'll do some work in the class online asynchronously, but most of the class is going to take place like we're doing tonight. It'll be a live synchronous class, and essentially it'll be every Wednesday night with the exception of the night before the 4th of July. So I thought there's probably not a lot of people that are interested in going to class the night before 4th of July, and some people might be traveling and out of town. So essentially we're meeting on Wednesday evenings, and we're using a lot of guest speakers from different areas, and essentially that's how it works. Now, I use GoToWebinar just because I'm not up to speed on Blackboard Collaborate. I'll probably use that at some point, but Blackboard Collaborate is something that I haven't used before. I've not in the live class. I've used it myself for like meetings and things like that, and it seems to work pretty well, but I wasn't quite ready to try it for this course. So sometimes I like to try other platforms, and GoToWebinar has been around for a while, but it works fine. You can do a lot with it, and since we already had a license for it, it didn't cost me any extra money to do it. So so that's how the class works. GoToWebinar. I encouraged everybody to sign up to register for the class that I created, and hopefully you're getting like reminders saying that your EDUC 689 class is gonna meet on Wednesday night, or it's gonna meet in an hour. Are you getting the updates like that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I didn't get any updates. I was curious about that. I mean, I know when class is, so it'd be fine.
Okay. Well, that's strange because if you sign up, you should automatically get them.
Yeah. Maybe I'll check the email. Maybe it was entered wrong.
Okay, or maybe it went to spam. I guess it's possible. I don't know. But yeah, when you register for GoToWebinar, for this session, you should be getting like emails that say, your class EDUC 689 is meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, or is meeting in an hour, etc. Because you should get like about 3 or 4 within a week or something like that.
Yeah, but they're from another person. It's not from you. It threw me off.
Cardona, who is the administrator of this platform. So yeah.
Yes. No, it's fine. It filtered into my Google Weird, so I was like, where is it? But it popped up, so it was fine.
So I don't sound like Denise then?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to go in and change the profile too, because I remember one time I forgot to change the profile from her to me. So, you can see it now where it says, I'm talking. And some people were like, well, we hear you talking, but you don't sound like Denise. And I was like, well, I'm not. Why do you think I'm Denise? And they go, well, we see her name. And I said, oh, I forgot to change my profile. But anyway, okay. So that's how the class works. Any questions on that?
Mm-mm.
None? Okay. All right. So go to webinar. We've kind of talked about that. I'm not sure how much more I can add to that, but I mean, go to webinar is a good platform, and in different courses we use different platforms. We've moved now to UMBC starting to use Blackboard Ultra, which is very different than the previous version, which they're calling, I guess they call it Blackboard Original, almost like Blackboard Classic or something like that, but they call it Blackboard Original. So anyway, we use GoToWebinar. I'm going to record everything. So again, if somebody misses something, I'm essentially going to make the recordings available. Have people visited the course site in Blackboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have. Yes.
Not yet. Okay. So I mean, I'm learning it too. So if something messes up, which is possible, because I'm not fully up to speed on every single thing, let me know. I think somebody let me know not in this class, but another class. They said something like, I can see where you say post your assignment here, but I don't see any way to do it. And there is a way to do it. It's probably maybe one more step than the old way. But there is a way to, post assignments, although it's maybe not quite as obvious where the old one was, click the browse button for files or something like that. I think it was. But Blackboard Ultra, it probably has, a little sleeker, nicer look than the original Blackboard. It does have, some new features, but like any new software, it takes some time to get used to. So, I'm fairly comfortable with it. I'm not an expert. I probably couldn't teach it, just I could probably show people a few things. But so maybe we can learn together. My philosophy with the Blackboard course site is what I used to do a long time ago in my courses. I had so much information up there. I thought more was better. And then I realized I was like overwhelming people with information and giving them 5 different ways to access something, and students were getting lost. So what I've done since then is I've gone to a more, streamlined approach where I don't offer so much online that people just kind of drown in it. And people have told me they like it better than the gigantic amount of information that I used to put up there. Has anybody used Blackboard Ultra before?
Mm.
Yep.
No, let's go first.
Nope.
No.
So somebody said yes. One of the guys said yes. I thought I heard one of the guys say yes. All right. I guess I'm hearing things. Okay. All right. So that's Blackboard Ultra. So our classes, as I mentioned, will be live on Wednesdays, and essentially they'll begin at 7 and probably end like certainly no later than 9. Probably sooner than that. Like I think tonight's going to be a relatively early class. Because I don't like to do too much in the first class and get into the topic areas. So the live classes, again, they're going to be recorded. So if somebody misses a class, I'm going to make that available to you so you can play it back. Or if when we have our guest speakers, you might say, gee, that was really great. I want to, really like the part where he or she talked about such and such. So you can replay and review the class as much as you want. Okay, so this is probably the biggest part of the course tonight. Is I'm going to go over the syllabus. I'm not going to go over it page by page, line by line. But as in any course, the syllabus is important. So it's posted. I believe I emailed it to everybody, but it's also posted on the course site in Blackboard. The syllabus, if you have it, if you ever have access to it, you could kind of follow along, but I'm going down to page 2 and textbook. There is no textbook for this course. Okay, I think it's not necessary to have a book for every single course because the price of books is outrageous these days. It's very easy for a book to be well over $100 and not out of question to be over $150, depending on like what multimedia might be going with it. So there's no book, but I do have a recommended book just in general for our profession. Is anybody familiar with an author named Robert Mager?
Yeah, I've heard his name.
Yeah, I really like him because he writes in very plain and simple language. And he has written a bunch of books about learning objectives, goal analysis, instruction. His books, I think, are excellent. But my favorite one is called "What Every Manager Should Know About Training." Probably, in my opinion, one of the best books in the field. And the way he writes is, I think, tremendous because I think there's too many authors that try to impress people with big words and they lose their readers, where his goal is to simply communicate. So if you get a chance, you can buy it on Amazon. It's a paperback. I don't think it's probably, somebody could look it up maybe, but I think it's probably less than $50. It's a very good book. It doesn't pertain specifically to everything we do in this class, but it's a good book for addressing certain issues that come up in the field when you work in an organization. Okay, so class schedule. Let's take a look at the class schedule on page 3. So there's a chart in there that lists our speakers and then the topics. Next week, Dr. Stu Weinstein is going to talk about the differences between a performance consultant and an instructional developer. Stu has taught for our program for a number of years and has worked at a number of significant places such as Booz Allen, IBM, some of the intelligence agencies, and so forth. Then the following week, Jason Dumois is going to talk to us about employee turnover and if you're a training manager, how you can use training to help with that. The following week, Jason is a graduate of our program as well. Then another graduate, Catherine Zaranis, is going to speak on June 19th about change management. Catherine is a very successful entrepreneur and independent consultant in the field, and great presenter. Next, we'll have Rowan Job. Rowan's going to talk about managing a distributed team, which is, an issue in this field because a lot of times we get into this field because we like teaching, we like training, we like designing classes. And then usually the progression for that is to move ahead. You need to go to like a senior level, or you work as like maybe a project manager or a training manager or something like that. So then basically you're using skills that maybe you haven't developed very much because obviously it takes different skills to design a good course than managing people. So she's going to talk about managing a distributed ISD team. The week of July 3rd, again, because of the 4th of July, we're not having a class. Carol Erdman, whose company Insight Training is going to talk about leadership from a strategic focus from the training perspective. Then Ryan McShane is also going to talk about leadership from a different angle. Jason Noren on the 24th of July is going to talk about augmented reality and immersive learning. So it's going to be more of a technology presentation on how we can use technology in training and in learning. Mick McGill, who is an independent consultant and quite a character, he's going to present on performance improvement. He has a great presentation and little kind of mini workshop. It's called the 7 Buckets of Performance. I've seen him do this several times before, and it's excellent. Then last but not least, Smith Kalita, who was also an alumni of our program. Smitty's going to talk on return on investment for training and development, because when we work in organizations, the big boss always wants to know what kind of return in terms of our investment are we. This training costs a lot of money. What are we getting back? How are you measuring that? So Smith has a way of addressing that and giving you information on that. Okay, so those are our speakers. Every week, what I'd like you to do is, and it's in the syllabus, is draft a few questions for every speaker before the course, before the session. Okay, so let's go into the assignments. The assignments are in 3 categories: A, B, and C. So what I have done is there's some ungraded tasks, like giving me your resume and maybe a little bio and your contact information. Okay, so you can post those. If people feel uncomfortable with posting any personal information, they can simply email it to me. That's fine. Okay, so then based on my influence on adult learning and how learners like choice, on the B part, it's worth a total of 60 points, and I've given you options to choose. So you need to choose 2 30-point segments there. Okay, so in other words, you can talk about, let's say, you could do a request for a proposal, but you don't have to. So you have some choices there. In part C, that's worth a total of 40 points, and it's broken down as part of it will be the written speaker questions, okay? Class participation, which will pretty much be your participation for the live online classes, and then a couple of reflection papers. So you can see the details that start on page 5 will address all those assignments, all right? So it gives you more information, like real world management. Well, what does that mean? So it explains it for you. It kind of details it, what you could possibly do. I give the option, if people want to do group projects, if you want to team up with somebody, you can do that. Some people like that. Some people hate group projects. So I don't force you to do it, but I give you the option to do it if you choose to. Questions on the assignments?
Thank you for not forcing group projects. I appreciate it.
Well, I think as a program, we pretty much, I don't think any instructor requires group projects unless I'm mistaken.
I did have one last semester. My partner was fantastic, so it worked out. But
okay, what course was it?
It was EDUC 643, Principles of Distance Ed with Zane Burge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The final paper was a partner project.
Okay. All right. So questions on the assignments, folks? The details are spelled out beginning on page 5 and continue on page 6 and so forth. Okay. So if you have questions, feel free to contact me. I'm pretty accessible. I answer my own phone. I respond to email pretty quickly. I talk to people in the evenings. I'll talk to people on their lunch hour. I'll talk to them in the afternoons, the mornings. I talk to people on weekends. So there really shouldn't be a reason not to contact me, because I am pretty accessible. And then most of the other information is kind of like boilerplate information. And that's kind of quickly the syllabus. Any questions on what we do, how we do it? Okay, I'm hearing crickets, so I'm assuming that that's no questions. Okay, that's fine. All right. So I've already talked about the assignments, but again, I want to make things as practical as possible. And if somebody says, I want to do something a little bit differently than maybe you've given us as a choice, I think I've written the projects where you can kind of have a fair amount of room to maneuver. But if you want to talk about doing something a little bit different than what I've laid out for you, that's fine, because I think the worst type of assignments are assignments that have no application for you and have no value, and you're just doing busy work. So I want to avoid assignments like that at all costs. Does that make sense? Okay. I can hear you breathing out there. All right. Guest speakers. I've talked briefly about our guest speakers, but again, this is to me one of the genesis of the course really was to provide you access to subject matter experts about a topic that was valuable and important for people in our field. So that's what I did. My goal was to put together a schedule of guest speakers that would be very good, would be appropriate, and they all are working in our field. So I think the ones that I've chosen are all good. There's some that I'm not going to say that I like certain topics better than others, just like you probably do. So, and I don't know, unless I've seen the presentation before, I don't know exactly what they're going to say. So sometimes people will ask me, well, what is so-and-so going to cover in leadership shift? Well, I have descriptions that I can share with you, but that's like, 3 or 4 sentences. So sometimes I don't know exactly what they're going to say every single minute of their presentation, but they're good folks. They're volunteering their time. They're not getting paid. They're doing it because they want to do it and they like to do it. Communication. Communication in this class, like any class, is important, and I communicate with people normally through your UMBC email. Some people are better than others at communicating with email, so that's the main method. Now, again, if you want to talk, some people will say, well, can we talk? I have a question about a couple of the assignments, and people will say, can we meet on Skype? Can we do WebEx? I mean, I can do any and all of those. So if somebody has a burning desire to meet via Skype, that's fine. If you want to meet in person, some people like to do that. I can do that. I don't know where all of you are physically, but if you're in the greater Baltimore area and you want to meet in person, that's fine. What I've learned over the years is a lot more people are not wanting to meet in person in like the convenience of, let's say, the phone, where they don't have to travel, and because we can do screen sharing and things like that, probably most of what we need to do can be handled electronically. There are always some people in classes that, quote, disappear from class. I don't want you to disappear. Usually when somebody disappears, they'll be communicating online. I can see they're doing the assignments and so forth. I can see them and hear them participate in the weekly live sessions, and then at times people just stop. And usually that means, what I've learned over the years is something's come up in their life, whether it was something happening at work, a health issue, a family issue, etc., some sort of crisis, and it's not important, it's not a high priority for them to let me know what's going on, and I totally understand that. However, if I don't hear from you, I don't know what's happening. So if there's something that comes up, just send me a quick email that says, Dr. Williams, I've got a sick kid that's in the hospital and I'm not sure if I can keep up with the class, or whatever it is. I'm very, very good about working with folks like that. You shouldn't have to drop the course or anything like that, but just let me know what's going on, because if I don't know what's going on, I can't help you. And sometimes I wonder, well, did they get hit by a bus? Are they okay? Are they sick? What happened to them? So let's try not to disappear. Okay, does that make sense? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that things come up. I mean, this program was started for working adults like over 40 years ago, and that's our population is working adults, as you probably know. The average age is about 40 years old, and things happen in an adult's life. I know it's like they have, issues with maybe, their kids. They've got jobs where they may have issues and challenges and things going on. They might be taking care of aging parents, all kinds of things. So, believe me, we've heard about all the things and, experienced a lot of them ourselves too as faculty. So, so just communicate with us if you will. All right. So I told you this was going to be relatively short. So this is our last section, which is just questions that you might have if you want to talk about something. I'd be happy to talk about anything you want to talk about or any questions that you may have.
Nope.
I have a question.
Okay.
You said something about draft questions before the speaker, and
Right.
I did notice it said like 5 questions. Is it according to what their subject matter is, or what?
Well,
or
if it's
just,
okay, go ahead and finish. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
or it's okay, or is it just questions in general?
Well, it probably would make more sense if they related to some extent about their topic, but if it could be in the field, hopefully you're not going to ask them what the capital of Australia is or something that's totally unrelated.
Oh, okay.
Did that answer your
I get it.
question? Like,
Thank you.
I mean, if you look at their topics, or, I mean, you could ask some things like, what's been your most challenging experience working in the training and instructional design profession? If you had to do something differently in your career, what would you do differently?
Right.
So those are, good questions. Like somebody asked me that, a student in their 20s, I believe he was. He said, if you had to do something different in your career, what would you do differently? And I said, well, there's a lot more than just one. And I said, well, because I do a lot of career counseling with people, and what I've found out over the years, this has been borne out, is that people that do well in their careers, one of the things they have in common is they have a good professional network. And by that, I mean they have colleagues or friends in the field, they know people in the field, and a lot of jobs these days are unadvertised. So then how do you hear about jobs that are unadvertised? Well, through your professional network. People tell you about them or they recommend you. So I told this gentleman that, if I had to do it over again, I would be more aggressive about building my network. Like when I was I have a decent network, but when I was in my 20s and 30s, I didn't say to myself, oh, it's really important to have a good network. Where now I see the value of that much more clearly. Now, that still means you have to be able to do the job because, you just don't get a job just because somebody knows you. You might get it initially, but you have to perform or they're going to get rid of you.
For real.
So that's my answer. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank
Okay. All right, Pat.
you.
What else, folks?
Hey, Dr. Williams, this is Connor Queenie. With the guest speakers, are we gonna have like a kind of like a bio or like
Yes.
description or
Yeah.
of their career like sent out the week before, or do
Yep.
we have that now? Okay, cool.
I haven't posted
yeah.
that yet. I will post that in Blackboard.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering because then we can get a better idea of asking them questions and
Yeah.
just getting a better understanding. So yeah, back on the questions, or adding on to the questions discussion.
Yeah. I will post that and their descriptions. I'm still, like I said, I'm still getting used to Blackboard Ultra, but I will get that up there. And if I don't get a chance to put all of it up there right at one time, I will at least do the ones that are going to be coming up next. But
Awesome. That sounds great.
It shouldn't be a big deal. Connor, how do you pronounce your last name correctly so I don't butcher it?
It's So it's pronounced Paquini. So
Okay.
you're basically saying it without the G.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it. Everyone that sees my name, they never say it correctly the first time. So if you would have said it incorrectly the first time, I would not have been offended.
Well, and you know, being a former K through 12 teacher, I've mispronounced a lot of names. So yeah, I'm guessing that you have probably had your name mispronounced at least a few times in your past.
Quite a bit, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep.
Has anybody got it right the first time?
You know what's funny? I think I can't remember. Someone like in high school or something, like working at like a shop or something, got it right the first time, and I was just like amazed. So that was like the only time. But no, I cannot remember any time anybody's gotten it right the first time.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. All right,
Yeah.
folks. What other questions do you have?
Dr. Williams, I know that you said you're still learning the Blackboard Ultra as well, but
Yes.
I just opened this up and I'm looking at the A group assignments, and I do see where it says to post the assignments, but then the rest of the screen looks blank.
Okay.
So did you say that we just need to kind of dig around and there should be a submit assignments area somewhere?
Yeah, there's like a little plus sign. You have to click on the plus sign first, and that opens you up
Okay.
to a menu of new choices.
Okay.
And I think
Okay, I'll have to search around.
yeah, I think the thing is because the other student that couldn't find it, I think he was like looking for a button to click on that said like upload file or something like that. And
Okay.
what you see is it'll be like a little circle with a plus sign, I believe, in the middle. And if you click that on, that gives you a number of options like uploading a file, text, URL to a video or a website, that sort of thing. But
Okay.
I'll check that out.
It may be the browser that I'm using as well, so I'll try a few different browsers.
Okay. Yeah, I think this rollout of the Blackboard Ultra is going a little bit slower because first it was going to be like live for this fall. Now they're saying like something like a year from this fall, or even longer than that. I'm not exactly sure. It's been kind of delayed the last year and a half or so. And I think I'm going to try to find a little tutorial on how to post info because I know they have them, like little videos.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Folks, what other things do you have questions about? All right. I'm not hearing anything, so I'm guessing there's no questions, at least for now. Okay. All right, folks. So I'm going to wrap it up then if there's no further questions. If somebody has a question and wants to stay on the webinar with me a little bit longer, that's fine. I can do that. But thanks. It was good to meet everybody. I think it's going to be a fun class. I think it's going to be a helpful class. And I think you're going to enjoy the kind of change of pace. So I'll see you online, and I'll definitely see you next week.
Okay.